Good morning, students. Today's topic is also continuation of chapter number 7, Lifelines of National Economy from Geography. And today I will discuss with you two topics. Number 1 is waterways and number 2 is airways. Okay? So, my dear student, as you all well known about the transportation system by the waterways, and this is the very oldest and also cheapest mode of transportation in all over the world. And even whatever be Indian commerce and culture are spreading in all over the world, and also many scholars and traders came in India. They came with the help of waterways, and also waterways are most suitable for carrying very heavy and bulky goods, and also people from one region to another region, and also from one country to another country. And whatever fuel efficient and environment friendly mode of transport is waterways anyhow. And India has inland navigation waterways of 14,500 kilometer in length. And students, here I want to clear one point in front of you, that inland water transportation means the movement of goods and services by waterways within a country. Okay? And out of these, only 3,700 kilometers are navigable by mechanized boats. It means only 3,700 kilometer area of water in which mechanized boats are moving from one region to another region with goods and services and also people. And students, in India, the following waterways have been declared as the national waterways by the government of India, in which number 1 is the Ganga river between Allahabad and Haldia, and covering 1620 kilometers and known as National Waterways number 1. Okay? And number 2 is the Brahmaputra river between Sadia and Dhubri, which is covering 891 kilometers and known as National Waterways number 2 or NW number 2. Okay? And third one is the West Coast Canal in Kerala, Kottapuram, Koman, Udyogamandal and Champakkara canals. And the length of these canals among these regions is 205 kilometers, and this is known as NW number 3 or National Waterways number 3. And as well as in India, another inland waterways which we can see in all over the India, and these are Godavari, Krishna, Bharat, Sundarbans, Buckingham Canal, Brahmani, East-West Canal and Damodar Valley Corporation Canal, which are using for the movement of heavy and bulky goods within a country. Okay? And my dear students, near about 95% of the country's trade is moved by sea. It means whatever countries trade done by the India with other part of the world, that is done that is moving with the help of sea routes or with the help of waterways. And India's trade with foreign countries is carried from the ports located along the coast of India. Okay, so students, now I am going to discuss with you major seaports of India which are very helpful and working from the time of British for the transportation of heavy and bulky goods from one country to another part of the world also. So students, as you know very well that India has a long coastline of 7,516 kilometer, and India has 12 major and 181 medium and minor ports. And as I told you above that, these major ports of India handling near about 95% of India's foreign trade. Okay. So students, in this series, Kandla, which is located in Kutch, was the first port and developed just after independence of India to solve the problem of trade from the Mumbai port to another part of the world. And students, this is developed by Indian government because due to the partition of Pakistan, the important Karachi port divided or partitioned in Pakistan. That's why it is developed by Indian government to solve the problem of foreign trade. And India is example of very good overseas trading system in all over the world by waterways, and Kandla is a tidal port. Okay, and Kandla is very important port because it is handling trade and business which is done by the Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. And after that, Mumbai is the biggest port with a very spacious and natural well-sheltered harbour. And the Jawaharlal Nehru port was planned with a view to solve the problem of movement of goods and services by Mumbai port. And you know very well that Mumbai is a hub port of this region. It means Mumbai port is a very important port among all the ports of India. Major trade and business is also done by the Jawaharlal Nehru port of India. And after that, Marmagao, which is located in Goa, exporting iron ore from India to another part of the country. And New Mangalore port, which is located in Karnataka, export iron ore from the Kundermukh mines. And also Kochi is the very important southwestern port which is located at the natural lagoon and very important natural harbour using for overseas trade and business in all over the world. And students, another very important port which is located at the east coast of India, that is southeastern port of Tuticorin, and it is located in Tamil Nadu. And also this is a natural harbour and a very good center of the trading of goods and services by waterways from these ports, and also it is flourishing and trading a variety of cargoes near the neighboring countries of India like Sri Lanka and Maldives, and also coastal regions of India. After that, Chennai is also one of the oldest artificial ports of the country, and it has second place just after the Jawaharlal Nehru Seaport of Mumbai, and using this Chennai port for the trading and the movement of cargoes. And after that, next one is Vishakhapatnam port, which is the deepest landlocked and naturally well protected port, and this port is using for iron ore export to the other part of the world. After that, Paradip port, which is located in Odisha and very important, but this port is using for the export of iron ore, and Kolkata is also having a inland riverine port, and this port is also very important because it is located near the Ganga Brahmaputra basin and very important trading center, and it is also a example of very good tidal port. Okay. After that, in Kolkata, Haldia was another very important port which was developed as a subsidiary port to solve the and to prevent the pressure on the Kolkata port alone. Alright. So students, here explanation related to waterways and major seaports of India is completed. And now I am going to discuss with you airways. So students, you know very well that today we are living in modern world and everyone using fastest and comfortable and very prestigious mode of transportation, which is known as airways. And students, airways has many qualities and also have a very important place among all the kind of transportation system of India and also in all over the world, because those places of the world and especially India which are very difficult terrain like high mountain and desertic regions and dense forest, and also those regions of India which cannot access by bus or train, and also a very long oceanic stretches which we can cross with the help of airways. Okay. And students, in India we have international, domestic and also private airlines which are using by people to complete their journey within an hour in the compare of long journey. And also with the help of these airlines, people can reach to their destination with very less time. And in India, the air transport system was nationalized in 1953, and as I told you above, we have Indian Airlines and Alliance Air, which is also known as subsidiary of Indian Airlines, and also private scheduled airlines and non-scheduled provide domestic air services. And also In India, Air India provides international air services from one country to another country, and Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited provides helicopter services to Oil and Natural Gas Commission to reach its offshore operation over the ocean. And also in India, rich people having helicopters for their personal use, and students, small airlines and helicopters are very important to reach the inaccessible areas and difficult terrain like northeastern states of India, in which and also the interior parts of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttaranchal, etc. Okay, students, it means just simply I want to saying that with the help of airlines and helicopters, people in India even can reach those places which place of India are totally inaccessible and out of reach of common people. Okay, so students, as I told you that Indian Airlines operations also extend to the neighboring countries of Southeast Asia and Middle East Asia, and air travel is not within the reach of the common people. So students, as you know very well that this is very expensive mode of transportation, that's why common people cannot use it and cannot utilize the services of airlines or helicopters. And in India, you know very well that the northeastern part of India is very inaccessible, hilly, uneven and mountainous types of regions. That's why to reach people there, our Indian government reduces the cost of these airlines for the common people of India also. Okay, so students, on the basis of above example, you can differentiate that if waterways is very cheapest means of transportation, as well as airways is very costly and out of reach of common people, but maybe people can use in coming years with the help of different government policies. Okay, so students, here your explanation related to the waterways and airways is completed. Okay, and in my next explanation I will discuss with you communication and international trade and also tourism as a trade. All right, so for today's that's all. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning, students. Today's topic is the continuation of chapter number 7, Lifelines of National Economy from Geography. And today I will discuss with you 3 topics, in which number 1 is communication, number 2 is international trade, and number 3 is tourism as a trade. So students, as I told you in my previous explanation about the lifelines of national economy, in which roadways, railways, waterways, airways and pipelines working as a lifeline. So as well as communication, international trade and tourism are also very helping to improve the economic condition of our country. That's why these 3 are also called or known as lifelines of national economy. Okay? So students, as you know very well that from the starting of human history, humans used different means of communication for providing information, etc. But due to the modernization and due to the rapid change in modern times, now long distance communication is for easier without physical movement of the communicator or receiver. Because earlier people were writing a letter or telegram to inform the people, and in this condition people moving with those telegrams and letter to home for later written. But nowadays, without the physical movement and physical appearance, we can receive information within a second with the help of different means of communication like television, radio, press or newspaper, and with the help of movies or film also. Okay, and also television, radio, newspapers and films are the major means of communication in our country and also in all over the world. And in India, the postal network of India is the highest in the world, and it handles like parcels and as well as personal written communications, cards and envelopes. So these services of India are called or considered first class mails, and after that airlifted between stations covering both and air. It means cards and envelopes. These are the first class mail which is sending by the airways and also by the land. Okay, and after that the second class mail including books, packets, registered newspapers and periodicals. Okay, so it means finally we can say that there are two types of postal system in which related to the first class and also second class mails. And after that these second class postals taken by surface mail and also by the land route and water transportation system, and to provide facility for quick delivery of different types of mails, especially in large towns and cities. Near about 6 mail channels have been introduced by our government very recently, and they are called Rajdhani channel, number 2 is Metro channel, number 3 is Green channel, and business channels, bulk mail channel and periodical channel. Understood? After that, after postal system, India has one of the largest telecom network in all over the Asia, and in India including urban villages or urban area, and 2/3 of the villages in India have already been covered with STD or subscriber trunk dialing facility. So in order to strengthen the flow of information from the local level to higher level, the government of India started and established these STD in urbans as well as in villages also. And after that, the government has made many special and important provision to improve the 24 hours STD facility to the every villages of country. Okay, and so finally, due to the effort of Indian government, now we can say uniform or equal STD facility in all over India, and this is very important to integrate and develop the country with the help of advanced communication technology. After that, mass communication also very special for us, and these mass communication provide us entertainments and also create awareness among people about different kind of national programs and policies. And due to the various national programs and policies, now everyone or every people of India is well known about the information whatever issued by the government, whatever related to the Indian matter and issue. And mass communication includes radio, television, newspapers, magazines, books and films. And after that, All India Radio, which is commonly known as Akashvani, broadcast a variety of national, regional and local programs in national, regional and local languages for various categories of people. And as well as like about the Doordarshan, in which you can get information related to the weather condition and also some suggestions for the improvement in agriculture activity, etc., etc. So students, Doordarshan is also one of the largest terrestrial network in the world, and as I told you above that, it broadcast variety of programs, especially educational, weather reports, and as well as like Krishi Karikram, etc., etc. And after that, India's also publishes a large number of newspaper periodically and annually. And in India, near about 100 languages and dialects in which newspapers are published. And in India, the largest number of newspapers published in the country are in Hindi language, and after that English, and finally Urdu. After that, and students, India is also the largest producer of feature film in the world, and it produces many short films, video feature films and video short films, etc. And the Central Board of Film Certification is the authority to certify both Indian and foreign films. Okay. After that, international trade. So students, you know very well that the exchange of goods and services among people from one state to another state, from one country to another country is referred or known as trade, but the market is the place where such exchanges also take place, and this is commonly known as trade. But students, the trade between two countries is called international trade. And international trade done by the sea route or airways, waterways and land routes. And nowadays, international trade for every country of a world is a very important, because in modern world, in modernization, no country can survive and develop without international trade. And international trade is also an index to economic prosperity, and also the difference between the export and import related to the international trade is a kind of barometer to check out the economic condition of a country. Okay, so students, in which if any country exported any kind of goods and services to other country in the compare of imports, it means this country is economically developed. And local trade is carried out between cities, towns and villages related to state level, or between the one state to another state is known as trade. But international trade is when is trade between two countries done by the people is known as international trade. And you know very well that nowadays, due to the faster mode of transportation, now international trade is easier before than earlier. And also export and import are the very important component of the trade. As I told you that the balance of trade of a country is the difference between its export and import. For example, when the value of export exceeds the value of imports, it is called a favorable balance of a trade. Alright? And on the other hand, if the value of imports exceeds the value of export, it means trade is in unfavorable condition. Okay? Alright? And students, now I am going to explain different data related to different year, in which we can consider that how the world countries and especially India busy in different kind of export and import activity. And we have to check out on the data that we are in balanced or favorable trade or not. So India has a very strong trade relation with all the major countries of the world, and whose share has been increasing over the last few years till 2004 and 5. Like agriculture and allied product is 2.53%, ores and minerals 9.12%, gems and jewelry 26.75%, and chemical and allied products 24.45%, and engineering goods 35.63%, and petroleum product 86.12%. And these all the product which I am saying that is related to the export from India. And our India also importing some products like petroleum 41%, pearls and precious stone 29%, inorganic chemicals 29.39%, and coal, coke, briquettes, machineries, etc., which are imported by the India from other part of the world. But India sometimes also importing fertilizers, cereals, edible oils, and newsprint, etc. So students, on the basis of above example, we can understand that international trade has undergone a sea change in the last 15 years, and the exchange of commodities or goods and services have been suppressed by the exchange of information and knowledge. And nowadays, India has emerging as a software giant at the international level and is earning large foreign exchange through the export of information technology. So students, now we can say just after independence of India, to till now. Now we are in a favorable international trade condition. Okay. After that, last topic of this chapter is tourism as a trade. So, students, you know very well that India has a very incredible kind of states in which we can see different kind of religions, arts, activity, festivals and ceremony which are very different from north to south and east to west. That's why now our government started and improved the tourism activity in India, and I think very well that every year many foreign tourists arrive in our country to see the our heritage and also our Indian culture, and students, only due to the foreign tourists now the percentage of foreign exchange is increasing year by year, like 23.5% during the year in 2004 was, and after that finally it contributes rupees 21.82 crore of foreign exchange according to the data of 2004. And every year near about 2.6 million foreign tourists visit India, and as well as more than 15 million people are directly engaged in the tourism industry in all over the India. And students, tourism is also a very important for the national integration and provides supports to local handicrafts and culture, etc. And as well as it also helps in the development of international trade and understanding to the other people who are belonging from different countries and different parts of the world, and also they came and coming in India. So after the increasing tourism activity in all over the India, we are also now well known about the different culture and tourism and also medical facility. So as well as for the Britishers and foreign tourists, our Indian government improves the condition of cultural tourism and medical facilities and also other facilities for the foreign tourists. Like in our India, Rajasthan, Goa, Jammu and Kashmir and temple towns of South India are important visiting place of foreign tourists in our India. Okay, and after that we have